What is going on, internet nerds, trolls, troglodytes, interweb community? It's your boy Steve, real name no gimmicks, of the Hold Up TV, here on Fight Juice, bringing the fight to content creation. And tonight we must quickly talk about our man Eric D. July, aka Young Rippa, just releasing the Rippaverse, clearing over $1 million in donations, not crowdfunding. To be clear, the book is already done for the for ISO man. I want to say it is. I'm sorry. I apologize, Young Rippa, but the book is already done. Book is created. It ships out in August. But man, the amount of support that this brother has received in regards to this new venture has been absolutely amazing. I believe the last time I checked, it was fit 1 million, over $1 million worth of money donated in pre-orders, et cetera, et cetera. And I think this is great, man. If you're not up on Eric D. July, man, Young Rippa, he is a social commentator, has a show called For Canon's Sake. He's a comic book nerd. He's he's one of us. He's someone that appreciates the art of creating good stories, man. And he's been on a campaign for quite some time, which I agree with, which is you don't have to go woke and go broke, right? You can make great content, and the center of that character's identity, the storyline, does not have to be tied in heavy-handed social justice commentary, man. And you can just make good stories. And if you include that stuff, because the character is rich and deep and has depth to them, then it won't feel like you are trying to project something onto the story, man. Allow the story to tell itself. But tonight we're here to talk about Young Rippa and his amazing success with this campaign, catching some hate. Liberals gonna liberal, proving this man right, even though he is technically a libertarian. He does skew right on a lot of social issues, but I would say he's kind of a common sense guy. But I'm gonna let him tell you, because not him himself, but yes, I guess him, the very mention of the Rippaverse has been banned from one of the biggest subreddits, a comic subreddit. You're not even allowed to post about Young Rippa and this new venture. So let's let the man explain what's going on here.
We got work to do, and I want to talk about something real quick, and that's this. Reddit. I want to acknowledge. I see that you guys have been trying to share the Rippaverse stuff. One campaign, pre-order campaign.
There it is.
Or the videos, trailers, and you have been, not just the posts have been deleted, but they have been banned. Now ponder on that, why that would be a thing where, okay.
And that's the craziest thing, man. It's like when he explains why it's been banned, I want you to remember that Isam, the character that you see over his shoulder, is a black character, right? An original character that he created by a black man who, Rippa is the writer on this. He's brought in some veterans for illustration and inking for the Rippaverse, used all of his own money, no private interest, no loans from the bank, wanted to keep it pure and simple, controlled and focused on the customer. Black creator, right? And because of his political ideology, you are not allowed to commentate or talk about or even post anything regarding the Rippaverse in a subreddit about comics. Let's let the man continue.
It's about comic books. And no matter if you know me as a personality and who I am and what I talk about and all that, you still can see the trailers. You can see the campaign, all of that. And I've kept the politics and all that to the minimum of what that actually entails as far as what the company is about.
That's an important part right there, man, because he's going to go on to say that he would be a complete hypocrite if he rejected doing anything that's quote unquote woke or injecting social justice narratives into the comics. But then on the other hand, injected right leaning conservative or libertarian talking points into it. So I love that he's being consistent, right? I love that he's being consistent in regards to his brand and what he's trying to do. And he's really trying to bring people a good story that comic collectors, comic enthusiasts, and even maybe people who are into comics can get into and enjoy a story. And I think when you do that, when you focus on story and you focus on character development, that is enough, right? It's clear that the character is black. It's clear that it's a black man. There's your representation. But I think people don't want representation in that regard. What they want is something to support their own personal story, their own narrative. But a lot of people go read comics and go watch movies to escape from the real world, man. When I step into the realm of comics or comic movies, I want to see heroism, right? I want to see larger than life characters facing down evil and triumphing. That's what I come for, man. I come for the universe, for the entire thing expanded so I can forget about this wretched world for at least 30 pages or so, or if I'm going to see a movie for 2 hours or so.
It will be me being a hypocrite if I did it any other way. But you have folks deleting them, people getting banned based upon that. You may ask yourself why. I'm going to scroll down. This was the first big post kind of where that happened. Right here. Looking at this. Take a look. So, promo trailer. Sorry, this post has been removed by moderators. Moderators remove posts that feeds for a variety of reasons, including keeping communities safe and civil and true to their purpose. And it's
and this is the crazy part. So the person who posted or attempted to post about Rippaverse, about ISOM to share this good work that Young Rippa is doing, he got a response from the moderator. And I'm gonna keep it a buck right now, man. If you've ever had to deal with mods and discords or in subreddits, Facebook pages, any of that stuff, man, listen, I respect the mod game. These people are not getting paid in a lot of instances and they're just trying to protect the group. But every once in a while, you meet a person that has never, ever had the ability to impose their will on anyone else, and they've just been waiting for it. And you get this. You get exactly this.
It says that not only that, they have been completely banned from one of the biggest subreddits on that site, and that's comic books. And it says that you have been permanently banned. You can still view and subscribe, but you won't be able to post a comment.
Permanent ban.
And at the bottom, he asked the mods, I'm curious, why was I banned? You broke number one rule number one that's pertaining to supporting comics from hate groups.
Okay, boom. And that's the part right there. For posting or supporting content or comics from hate groups. So to hear that Young Rippa has been labeled as a hate group by people who obviously don't listen to a lot of his commentary, like, it's clear that there's no representation of hate, right? Or hate speech when you check out his political commentary, his social commentary. What there is are a lot of questions in regards to consistency about whether or not the stuff that we're being handed over from the MCU, the DCEU, and from regular Marvel mainline comics and DC Comics proper, if we're being handed quality content or we're being handed narratives, right? And so sometimes you hear people use the word narrative and it's a blanket response, right? I am one who does not have an issue with comics necessarily touching on social issues, but I would like a clear representation or full orb representation of that issue, right? As opposed to it being maybe the views of the artist. So let me give you, for instance, you guys all might know of that issue back in the day when Green Arrow and Green Lantern were teamed up, and basically Green Arrow confronted Green Lantern about being a racist, and he took him around to a few different social settings to prove that. I think at the time when they were doing that, that was socially relevant to show that as a hero, Green Lantern had a blind spot, like, cosmic awareness, completely unaware of social things that were happening, right? That's different, in my opinion. Comment below if you think I'm being inconsistent, than, say, for instance, pushing a narrative, right? There was never an instance in that comic where they were saying that you have to do this. It was Green Arrow showing Green Lantern things that he was unaware of. It's different, though, when I pick up a comic or someone picks up a comic and it's like you are inherently the problem. So that, imagine that, fourth wall broken, and it's the superhero telling you that you are the villain in real life, right? And I'm not making any special allowances for racist, right? There are racist people out there. There are people who live in a realm of hatred, and they disrespect or they discriminate against another person because of their skin color or their social economical class. but you can't throw out a blanket net and say that's an entire group of people. It's irresponsible, and it's a quick way to lose your audience.
Now imagine that. It has now, of course, apparently been claimed of me that I am, excuse me, I just got off this Zoom call. Let me go get that back here. But that I'm in a hate group. What that got to do with anything? Like what possibly could they be talking about? I'm in a hate group. I don't know what that is. I mean, it's funny. You probably go in that Reddit and find all of them talking about my diversity and all that other stuff. What are we talking about here?
Here's the crazy thing, right? Rippa's supposed to be in the hate group, man, and this is where liberals, I want you to listen carefully, man. You set yourselves up when you start saying completely asinine things. So in response to the Rippa versus the release, the trailer, what have you, there was such it was trending on Twitter, but there was such a strange thing that happened, right? And I don't know if liberals follow the same if they follow the same creed that they project onto people of tolerance and acceptance. And for sure, Rippa got called a hard R a few times by people who had white PFPs on Twitter. And I was like, yeah, this is the craziest thing ever. I feel like I'm in an episode of The Twilight Zone. Here you have people accusing him of being in a hate group, where if you go check Twitter and just type in his name, Eric D. July, or type in Young Rippa or Rippaverse, and you start scrolling through some of the comments, literally, there's a white guy on there that called him a hard R or called him an Uncle Tom. And I would project this, and I would say this to my liberal friends. Who gave you license to use the hard R? Who gave you license to call anyone an Uncle Tom? Does that not break your very own creed?
Hate group. Interesting. But let's go back. It'll give you some more kind of details on that. Here, another person says, why is they acting? You know what I mean? Why? Rippaverse, why is it getting taken down? The comic is from a Comicsgate supporter, thereby breaking our rule. This is what one of the mods said. Comicsgate is a hate group, they say. Any form of support of hate groups such as Comicsgate is not permitted. Now, this is what it is. Like, even though people know that Comicsgate is a movement that is exactly that, and there's various people that are within it, or if you want to call it a movement, that's probably not proper. They have been very supportive of this project. I've appeared on many Comicsgate streams. We've been cordial, we've been respectful, and we've gotten shit, done. And there's no problem with that. So even if, you don't consider me part of them, you know what I mean, which is fine with me, considering that, yeah, we got a lot of support from them, and that needs to be acknowledged. But, we also got support from other stuff, and this is kind of my own thing. That's not really.
And that's the exact thing, man. So someone would probably make the argument like danger by association, right? But then you'd have to do a deep dive and ask yourself, what is a hate group, and does Comicsgate actually meet the standard of hate group? And I think that we've used terms, or people are using terms interchangeably, where, okay, the KKK is a genuine bona fide hate group, right? That is a genuine bona fide hate group with a history of actual physical hate, right? There are groups, obviously, other groups on the internet, which I won't say on YouTube, which actually promote what I would consider hate speech, outright racism, not some weird, indescript, ambiguous, they confronted me, so they were being hateful, right? Or, I don't qualify that stuff as hate groups. But to say that he's a part of a hate group is just completely insane. Now, I'm not a person who doesn't believe in the useful idiot theory, right? There are people I believe that are used by the establishment, black and white, brown, yellow, Puerto Rican, and Haitian, right, to be useful idiots and to confuse people and baffle people. But I challenge you, go watch his social commentary and then ask yourself if you're being intellectually honest in your view of things. Because typically what he does is say, this is going to fail because this comic is not bringing people in who actually support this quote unquote inclusion, right? Because if they did support it, then a book like The New Warriors, with characters like Safe Space, etc., that would have sold like gangbusters. So you have people who don't actually care about these. In my opinion, they don't care about comics. They don't really care about these issues. they do care about being vocal about things they want you to believe they care about, right? And if they really supported these things, they would get out there and support these things, right? They would get out and support these books, but they don't care about comics, man. It's not really representation that they're looking for. It's a reason to attack. And I stand by that.
I didn't inject, I'm not going to inject myself in someone else's little thing that they built. But what's the problem? What's the problem here? Like, it's not like, again, we're saying anything
Black
crazy.
character.
This person just caught a ban. Rippaverse Comics, less than 2 days, made 1.2 million. Y'all trash mods, can ban all you want.
Whole movement behind them. Whole movement.
Here's something that is interesting. A conversation with the mod says about some, I guess, troll posts or some ridiculous, weird stuff. So I agree, but I'm keeping this up because it's what the goal is, and I want to make it clear that Comicsgate support is not allowed here. Interesting. Anyone's race, religion, or anything else doesn't factor into it. Comicsgate and its supporters are not allowed. For those who don't know, a Comicsgate supporter recently launched a crowd-funded campaign. No, I didn't. It's not a crowdfund, number one.
Huge distinction.
And it is a pre-order campaign with the transparency of a crowdfund. But the reason why it's not a crowdfund is because we don't need the crowdfund to get you guys product. So that's not exactly what this is. And you're just this whole it's like Nazi sympathizer, Comicsgate supporter. It's like a term that doesn't really mean anything. It's like, well, I don't like them. By I mean they don't like them, and they want to try to pin me to that. So they're just looking for a reason to take this shit down. They say we do not allow posts because it is Comicsgate related. Many disingenuous accounts, often dormant for months or years, just like this one, are now making their first few new posts to try to call it racism. Well, again, I'm willing to bet money that you guys spend a lot of time in this mod talking about elevate black voices, racisms, and black creatives and all this stuff. And the minute you got one that simply had maybe a slightly different political position than what you may have approved of, you took issue with it. And I'd rather y'all just...
It's interesting too, man, because I always tell people this, man, to a lot of my liberal friends who bring up, historical people like Malcolm X. I'm like, if you actually met Malcolm X and knew what he thought about liberal ideology, you would have him canceled so quickly. But you don't know anything about it. And you don't understand that. So you might as well take that shirt off, man. Stop pretending to be altruistic and pretending to care about black voices. We're here, as he's stating, you clearly have a black voice, but because he has a differing political view, not a differing view which leads to hate, because he disagrees with you on a fundamental level in regards to politics, you now want to silence his voice, which I believe is counterproductive to raising up black voices. Everyone knows that black people are on the monolith, and you guys can come at me all you want. I'm not on that Kanye free thinker stuff. Kanye is a very confused and troubled man. What I am saying is that here we are sitting at the precipice of something great, right? We're sitting on the edge of something amazing. An independent creator has stepped into the realm and made over $1,200 million. I'm sorry, over $1 million, not crowdfunded for product that's already set to be released, wants to bring quality comics. Do you know how many people are in Artist Alley that I've seen that have been trying to reach this level? And his community turned out for him, man, right? And this is going to be something that's great. And I think that a lot of people, one, don't want to give it a chance because they don't want to see things truly change. Two, don't really give a shit enough about black voices to support someone when they say, hey, I'm not going to bring my political views into this. I'm just going to bring you a great story. Suspend disbelief and suspicion until you have fact of otherwise. That's all I'm saying. Shout out to Young Rippa, man. Let's hear what else he's got to say.
Not be chicken crap and say that, because it's not like this company is projecting or presenting some like hate speech or anything remotely related to this. They know that. It's right there. It's public. Everybody can press play. You can see that. No, it's more of old guard protection and all of that sort of stuff. And the fact that there's a guy who in his community and these overlapping communities went and did something great. Like, this ain't just about me. This is about everybody that was a part of this. Went and did something great. You mad.
Exactly.
See, I see it, guys, and that's fine. I told y'all they were going to do that. I told y'all they were going to do all these dirty tricks. But that's the awesome thing about what it is that we've built, because it's so organic. We don't need them.
And that's exactly it, man. When you do something independently and do what he did, which was put up his own money, you are the master of your own destiny, right? And I'm not saying that everyone is able to do this, right? He put up $100,000, I believe, to get this thing going. Everything's already shipped. It's ready to go. Orders are going to be starting to ship on in August. I actually placed the order for my book because I wanted to support, and I'm interested to see, what his storytelling is going to be like. This really boils down to one thing in my mind, just from my vantage point, my estimation. Steve, the Hold Up TV here on Fight Juice. You people who have reacted this harshly to this campaign on Twitter and otherwise have proven yourselves to be hypocrites. And until you have the book in hand, the one thing we will be able to judge Young Rippa on, once we have the material, is whether or not it's good. True, taste is subjective. Everyone has different tastes, but he's the type of guy who wants you to be honest. Attack the content, don't attack the person. And for all you guys standing up for liberal ideals and inclusion and black voices, then your next step should be head on over to Twitter, go to Eric D. July's page, and start defending him against the racist people, truly racist people, calling the hard R. This is your boy Steve, real name, no gimmicks, Fight Juice, fighting with juice here online. Make sure you guys like, share, comment, and subscribe. I really do appreciate it. Make sure you check out the other content creators here on the Fight Juice Network, the voice of the Fat Mantis, aka Rogue Planet, Gray Winthrop, and Shaolin Iceboxer. We'll be bringing you a lot more, and peace.